Welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And, we've held on to this. We've waited, and we've been patient. But the 62% of reporting coming out of Iowa in these whole 24 hours has really only converted into 72% of reporting. And I have not really found the adjectives to describe the pathetic shamefulness, the disappointment, actually almost enthusiasm for finally the world seeing what I've thought of Democrats the whole time. But that's just my partisan bingery. It's actually been really unfortunate for the candidates too, because the whole reason, in 1976, I think, was when Jimmy Carter kind of made the strategic decision that, hey, I'm going to jump on the Iowa train and just try and build some headlines, and hopefully those headlines carry me through the other states. And it strategically worked. In fact, it worked so well that that's kind of been the standard practice. And the whole reason why Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, well, not so much Joe Biden and Bloomberg, but all of the candidates that invest so much time and energy in Iowa, trying to charge up the base in Iowa, paying for interns to come to Iowa, the whole reason why they even go is in order to get those media headlines. But now everything's been drowned out by everything from the State of the Union to Nancy Pelosi ripping up the, ripping up the speech, to Rashida Tlaib running out, and so on and so forth. All of that work has gotten zero headlines. One person's declared himself a winner, but the hashtag following him around is cheating. I don't even know how to describe what's going on, Cody. How do you intro this when there's like 7 headlines and emotions happening at once?
I think the big thing here. So I guess the first thing we'll do, let's take a look at what these 71% of reported precincts are showing us, right? So again, just a quick recap. The Iowa caucus had a major reporting error with a brand new app they were using. We can talk about that for probably a couple hours. However, bottom line is we are now coming up on 72 hours, 48 hours since the vote now. It's a couple days. And they have announced 71% of precincts. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at what these 71% of precincts are reporting. But then we're also going to talk about why this is the case. Because honestly, I don't even really want to look at these numbers because they're incomplete. But here we go. There's something important.
Well, and also because you and I have sat through elections when 97%, 98%, 95% of these precincts were reporting, and then it got flipped.
Yeah, because it's not done.
Like on election day, Dante Acosta had won. By early voting, Dante Acosta had won. Within 3 days later, all of these magical ballots were found. And then Christy Smith won, who's running against Cenk Uygur now. Or Unger, or whatever his name is.
Enthralling, man. But but moving on to what's going on in front of us. So let's take a look at the actual results. And what's crazy is you see, I think it's not too crazy. I've been saying for a while. Actually, I changed my mind on this. I don't know why I did. For a while, I was saying people just probably win Iowa. Well, it looks like, according to the incomplete results that were rushed out, because they're not ready, so clearly these are rushed out in front of us, we see that Pete Buttigieg is leading when it comes to state delegates. Now, I believe the popular vote, Sanders would be ahead, again, of these reported. It could have changed maybe in the last couple hours. Now, taking a look at our boy Yang here at 1.1% with 16 state delegates. Not good. However, I do expect that number to go up, and he's still kind of in the running for what I was thinking is best case scenario for him, which is kind of I don't want to say a fluke, but a overperformance in one particular county.
Yes.
If he could just sneak one of those delegates, one of those 42, just like he did good in this county for whatever reason, just something.
And if he can do that, he'll be doing what all of the other lower tier candidates couldn't do.
Yeah, well, just something to put on your resume when you go to these people and you're going to need support of in a few months to win the thing. It's important to keep in mind this Iowa the caucus represents 1% of the delegates. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's only important for the momentum you get. It's not really important for what the physical amount of delegates you win. It's more important for the momentum and the boost you get from it. And I think Andrew Yang going to Iowa straight up grassroots on the ground and making that win, it'd be good for him. Now, as we're sitting right now, it looks like that will not be the case. However, there still is almost a third of the districts to report. Because here's the thing. You could say, oh my God, over 70% have reported. It's a really clever way of saying almost a third haven't, which just could change things a lot. There's actually a picture floating around. Let's see if I can pull it up, where somebody was comparing the districts that have not reported yet with where Andrew Yang was on his bus tour. And I thought it was kind of interesting. You could definitely see that there is some overlap in the districts. Now, the Bernie crowd has been showing that a similar graphic that the unreported districts are the districts Bernie would be winning. So I don't want to. Everyone's saying that these, and until the unreported districts are reported, everyone's going to be saying, "Hey, could be good for us." But this is the thing I think we want to talk about. So the fact that they released, and I can't find the picture. I'll try to pull it up in a minute. But the fact that they released these incomplete results to me is really, I don't want to say shameful, but it shows they aren't ready. I'd rather have nothing than 71% because all this is going to do, and this is what we've seen already. We have headlines like this. How Pete won. I don't know what he won. He's winning, I guess, by early reports, but how Pete won. His success in Iowa is a template for victory in November. It's only, this is, sorry, let me move it down so you can see. This is from a slate.com, but it's just so bizarre to me. This is, and I guess it's not bizarre because that's what I'm trying to say. This is why they do that.
We pegged it the night up.
No, but this is why you rush out the results because, hey, Pete won. Remember, like I said, you get 1% of the delegates from Iowa, 1%. It doesn't matter who actually wins. Who gets this media cycle? Who gets to beat their chest and say, this is how I won Iowa. This is how we're going to take it. Who gets to do that? It doesn't matter if you get 36 or 21 delegates realistically. Who gets that, that push? Who gets that momentum? And it looks like Pete's going to just grab it and run with it, like you said, just because they were irresponsible in how they ran this. Well, how about this? Charitably irresponsible. I'm getting to the point where when I look at all 100% of these results released, not going to lie, I don't know what they could show me where I wouldn't question the results. I don't know what outcome can come from 100% where I wouldn't say, okay, clearly they got it right. They've called everything into question, and we've done exactly one vote in this primary.
Well, but we've kind of already experienced this with ballot harvesting in California, wouldn't you say?
Not really, no.
What do you mean not really? No. Nobody trusts our elections in California anymore, knowing that 3, 4, 5 days later, somebody can magically find thousands of ballots that were supposedly harvested in a retirement villa and, some poor community that the person just didn't report, but now they're good, and it pushes the person over. We're going over, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Stuff like that happens everywhere across the country all the time.
No, it doesn't. It's only it's outlawed in 38 states.
No. I'm saying the idea of additional votes being reported later that change elections happens every district everywhere. I guess that isn't weird.
No,
maybe
that is weird.
No, it isn't. It happens everywhere.
No.
It's one of the
it
reasons
has
why.
happened at some point everywhere. Yes.
Yes.
But like Al Franken winning by 200 votes in a 2 million vote election.
Hey, pretty sus, but
with 2 boxes of ballots taken in from supposedly a predominantly Somali refugee area.
But what does that matter? Is Al Franken big in Somalia? Like, what does it have to do with anything?
No, but like
did he do
the
a couple sets in Somalia?
falsifiable nature, like that doesn't scream voter fraud to you.
No.
All of a sudden, we just found the ballots he needed. Like, it doesn't scream voter fraud that like you can literally have interns go out and take people's empty absentee ballots in California, fill them out, and then hand them to and put them in the ballot box for you, filled out the way you want. Oh, and they can also take Republicans' ballots and say, I'm going to deliver this for you. And if they see that they don't like the way the person voted, just throw it in the trash. That doesn't smack of obvious voter fraud a 12-year-old can pull
I literally
off.
don't care about that. Literally don't
I
care.
care.
I don't care about your dumb partisan games. No,
it's not dumb partisan games. It's about election integrity. People have to trust the elections, or else we end up feeling about our presidents like the third world feels about their presidents. I've lived in Argentina. I've lived in the places where election fraud happens and people don't trust their leaders. And
so
it's toxic.
That's how you feel about every elected official in this country.
No, I've never felt in my life that you couldn't trust elections until the past 2 election cycles. And it's a marked difference. I remember when I served down there for 2 years that there was a sign for one of the guys that was running, and his campaign slogan was "Yo no soy corrupto," which literally means I'm not a corrupt politician. Like, it's so bad down there, you can actually just have white letters on a black background that say I am not corrupt, and people think, oh, I'll give this guy a shot. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just so blatant down there. And so Mexico's got really transparent elections, actually. They've totally ratcheted down on it, on what they do. But apparently we haven't. Because you as a party can just design an app with buddies getting FEC funds that they're really not supposed to get because that's at best soft corruption. And then when it doesn't work, nobody goes to jail. The winner you prefer can just declare that they won, and you can't tell me that the Iowa establishment didn't want the Midwestern to win.
Like you said, of the people who were behind some of the app shenanigans, who was the one to just boldly declare they had won? Who was the one that is showing as winning with 70% reporting?
No, exactly. And who's the one in the Banana Republic that shuts down the elections when there's still 4 hours left, saying, oh, Dictador Vachaderas de la Vega is ahead by so much. The people of Venezuela have chosen already. It's an insurmountable gap. Therefore, we are closing elections and entering another glorious 4 years of this dictator. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're literally living just a painted version of the distrust that people have in third world countries of their elected officials and their elections in slow motion with a tie on, draped in the flag.
Okay, well, how about this? Your boy over here in L.A., Shank, running for our very own 25th district, just released a press release, or Shank, I always pronounce his name wrong. No offense.
Chunky Yogurt. I just call him Chunky Yogurt.
Cardin means offense. I don't. I just don't want to pronounce his name. Anyway, he released a press release saying this: after Iowa caucus disaster, county officials and media must educate voters on new LA County voting system flaw. This is actually driving me crazy if this is what he's saying is true. And what's sad is I think LA Times read an article about this as well. I just thought it was funny. I pulled this up as you were talking. Listen to this. LA County's new voting system will require voters to use a device that does not include all the candidates running for office on a single page. Instead, voters must select the More button at the bottom of the screen to view additional candidates. If voters press the Next button instead, voters will not see all the candidates available. Voters are not required to scroll through all the candidates before moving on to the next part of the ballot. Which, that's one thing. This was interesting, though. This new system disproportionately favors candidates who appear on the first page, which I would guess. However, it appears that in a lawsuit filed against the city of Beverly Hills, or by the city of Beverly Hills against LA County, they ran a pilot in Long Beach and found that you had about a 6 to 12 point bump from being on that first page.
Jeez.
So again, like I said, when I say I don't trust elections, I don't necessarily think that I mean that there's some they're calling the Teamsters to bring in a truck of votes. What they mean by,
No, they're doing both. In California, they passed AB 1921 because they recognized that they had trouble honestly, because Republicans vote on time on election day and or with mail-in ballots, and that the more that they could extend early voting and the more that they could extend, they've actually extended it beyond the deadline. Like now, you can actually there's no more election day. You literally could turn in a ballot a week later. You know what I'm saying? Which means if you don't like the effects of an election, like we've already had election day, then all of a sudden all the interns of your campaign can go out and lobby for all the people that didn't vote and then turn it in. It's like we don't get to do that on tax day. We don't get to do that on mortgage day. There's a reason why election day is election day, because there's strategies involved. There's so on and so forth. But now literally in these Democrat predominant places, election fraud has just become a thing they do out in the open now.
Dude, election fraud is not a partisan thing. Election fraud exists everywhere and
in my adult lifetime.
Oh my God, I don't care about your adult lifetime. Okay, spare me. All right, election fraud happens everywhere, all the time with everyone. What bothers me more than seeing indicators.
Really?
Here's the thing. I guarantee you, every single campaign has bad faith actors who want a lying sheet. Every campaign has bad faith actors.
Hold on.
No, we're not going to hold on.
In California,
It's my turn. Hold on. I'm going to hold on right now. Okay. What we're going to talk about is this. What you're talking about is giving a moan about the fact that Democrats, you brought up the word yourself. There is strategy to the rules. You don't like them. It's what I'm hearing is the same kvetching I heard from people about it's not fair. Hillary won the popular vote. Okay, that's not the rules, man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you call fair, okay? What I'm saying is this. We're talking about what we're seeing here, releasing 71% of the votes. I don't even care about interference, but election interference is this. They're not screwing with the Iowa caucus. They're screwing with how we perceive what's happening. That's what it is, man. That's what bothers me. I don't care about Tony and the Teamsters box of votes. That's one thing. But what I care about is when they do stuff like this. When they have a media cycle going out telling people just won Iowa. Probably, maybe, we don't know yet. Bloomberg, I'll give
there's
Bloomberg
three
credit.
people within striking distance. Yeah.
Bloomberg at least says that he holds the lead in delayed Iowa caucus with Sanders second. They at least mention Bernie Sanders. Because the thing that's going on here is that they're trying to tell us what happened even though it hasn't happened yet. They're saying Pete Buttigieg is probably going to win Iowa because we released, like I said, roughly a little over 2/3 of the votes. Well, it's good. I'm glad he's winning with 2/3 of the votes.
Yeah, but also if 2/3 of those votes are rural, they're going to favor Pete Buttigieg. Whereas if they're urban, they're obviously going to favor Bernie Sanders. And if they're in a college town, you better believe they're going to favor Bernie Sanders. Even Yang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, how about, I think I'm seeing if I can pull
so when you're up ahead by only a single digits, okay, and we have 30% more of these precincts to report, you can't be making claims like that. If we were within 2%, sure.
Actually, that's the one I was looking for. But no, yeah, my point being is, like you were saying, it's they're trying to manufacture momentum, and that's what bothers me, man. Because, dude, we could get into individual counties, irresponsibility. Hey, you know who seems to always have a problem getting their votes done correctly? Broward County. Don't ask me why, but for whatever reason, like everything in the world, Broward County can't get their votes done correctly.
The lady with better hair than Bernie Sanders.
I'm not as interested in individual districts and errors in voting or disagreements you have with the legitimacy of certain structures of the campaign. What bothers me is seeing the Iowa Democrats blow it. They blew it. They completely screwed this. They got it wrong from the beginning. They had the response that was incorrectly. So what happens? People demand answers. They demand results. Well, guess what? It's been days and we don't have them. So what do?
Well, yeah, and
they rush out 71%. And guess what? I guess people are just won Iowa. Are we going to find out? No. Does it really matter at the end of the day who gets 1% of these delegates? Probably not. But guess what? Pete Buttigieg won Iowa. He's going to take that to the bank. On the debate stage that we talk about, he won Iowa. And it doesn't matter who won it anymore. He did. He won. There's one of my favorite movies. It's a court movie, and there's a part where somebody says something and they say strike that from the record. And somebody turns to a veteran lawyer and says, "Well, how can the jury
strike that from
how can the jury forget what they heard? They can't. We're not going to forget that Pete Buttigieg won Iowa, even if it comes out he didn't. He did. That is what happened. So that's what drives me crazy. That's the kind of election interference and corruption and distrust of these institutions that drives me crazy. Like I said, some local county blowing, it's one thing, but this is what I can't stand, man.
Yeah. Well, also it incentivizes people that are better at lying. Pete Buttigieg does not have a statistical, scientific, for being a dude that claims I'm a science denier, this bro had zero scientific reason to be able to go out and say, I won Iowa. Okay. He didn't have verified data. He didn't have peer reviewed anything. Okay. He had a bunch of precinct captains that said, I'm pretty sure we won. Okay. And we've got internal data that's good. And who knows, maybe that data was good, but the reality is you can't go out, you can't do that and say, I won. But just like I said, on caucus night, on the live stream, you can pull it up. You already replayed it last video. I'm not going to make us replay it again here. But I said, if I were a smart politician right now, I would go out and claim victory. Just because I know that the news cycle the next 2 or 3 days will be dominated by Super Bowl, then dominated by, not Super Bowl, be dominated by State of the Union address, and then dominated by responses to it, and so on and so forth. That right now, tonight is the night where you get the attention. So go out and declare it, because when there is no winner, there's actually 5 winners. So really, the first person to declare it is the winner. You know what I'm saying? The first person to declare it is the winner. Who's the greatest boxer of all time? Muhammad Ali? No. Sorry. 2 out of 3 times, Smokin' Joe Frazier beat him. Okay, but he's still called the greatest, even though in 2 out of 3 fights, Smokin' Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali. But for some reason, Smokin' Joe Frazier is called second best. Why? Because he was quiet, more demure. You know what I'm saying? Didn't go out there and make a holler and a stink about it.
You a big boxing fan, man?
Yeah, Smokin' Joe Frazier beat him 2 out of 3 times, right?
Okay.
What, am I wrong? Crap, did I just say something totally bogus?
No, you're right. No, Muhammad Ali only fought 3 times. That's why people thought he was great.
No,
he went 1 and 2 against the guy, and then
come on, but I'm saying out of those 2 out of 3 fights, it's difficult to claim that you're the best when there's somebody that 2 out of 3 times beat you who is also considered a contemporaneous rival.
Dude, Tom Brady lost like 3 Super Bowls. No one's saying he isn't the best. Sorry, that doesn't hold.
Okay, Doug, look,
that doesn't hold.
Fine. You know, you just don't like my analogy, Doug. You don't. At the end of the fine, I'll choose a different one.
No, please, no more analogies, please.
Fine. We don't need analogies. All I'm saying is that the system that they're creating, instead of incentivizing people acting in good faith to try and get media headlines in an early voting state, they're incentivizing a system that pays off corrupt deals and people willing to make unscientific claims of victory that are unverifiable, which is inherently dishonest. It's incentivizing dishonesty. Just like income tax incentivizes dishonesty. When it was passed, there was a famous senator that said, we just made liars out of 99% of America. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's going to lie about how much money they make in order to try and pay less taxes. So when you introduce an income tax instead of a consumption tax, you introduce a dishonest relationship between a citizen and its government. Well, when you have a system like the Iowa Democratic Party has created, you introduce an element where people willing to engage in dishonesty or half-truths will excel above those that aren't.
Yeah, and well, to be fair, I'll have to give him credit. As we are recording this, they have updated to 75% of precincts. So
hey, dude, they got more done in the past hour than they did the past 2 days.
And you'll never guess, Pete Buttigieg is still winning. So, it's like I said,
they're going within a margin of error. Look at that, 442 to 413. That's
what I mean. They haven't finished yet. I wonder what it'll look like when all 100 are out. But like I said, by the time all 100% of the, or 97.8, 98.8, whenever they get to that point where they feel confident.
By the way, Cody,
I wonder what is going to have happened. If we've already had a New Hampshire vote and a debate when that happens, doesn't matter. Pete won Iowa. Doesn't even matter where the delegates go. It's
now
1%.
Tell me this. I got a question for you. In your mind, would it confirm corruption and fraud if all of a sudden it shows that actually Bernie Sanders won? Because we have to ask ourselves, why was 61% the magical number at which you would release data? Could it be that maybe the Iowa Democratic Party wanted Pete Buttigieg to be able to claim that news cycle?
Yes, that's
so
exactly
at
what I think.
The 61 threshold, when they said, wow, that's a lot, and he's still ahead, but we know once these districts come in and it's actually going to be Sanders, we should report now so he can claim the news cycle, get the donations. He's our boy. We got to push him forward.
I'll go one step further. They have 100%. They just haven't released 100%. They released the 75 they wanted out. Look at anything, man. Take anything that's like a you need the whole 100% of any picture to understand, like a vote. Right? Yes, dude, you could just look where Bernie's best districts. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gone. What do you know? Pete's winning. We saw this happen. Like, you know what was funny? I was actually joking about this on the night when they had the caucus. We saw this happen with the Daily Coast, the Daily Cost, whatever it was. They had a poll, and they had that really bizarre article.
By the way, we have to finalize the pronunciation of that.
Well, I believe it's short of the name Marcos, so I believe it'd be Coast, but I've always seen that spelled as Cos or something like Cos. Anyway, moving on. What we saw them do, and this is I'm not saying them to point them out, but I'm saying this is the thing people do to screw with numbers. They said, well, if you remove the Andrew Yang votes, Elizabeth Warren wins with this many votes.
Yeah.
They're saying, well, if you remove these districts and we just look at like 70, like maybe 3/5 of the election here, it looks like it's better for X candidate, and that is what drives me crazy. It's the fact that I don't trust that I 100% believe they have at least 15, 25%. Like, they're probably at that 90, 97, 98% plus reporting. They know what's going on, and they're just not releasing it. And I don't know why. Because I refuse to believe this many days later. Dude, one of the people, I get there's like 1,000 of these individual caucuses. Somebody had the bright idea. This genius said, why don't you just take a picture of our results and physically drive there? No offense, but Iowa isn't the size of Texas. I mean, you could drive to the headquarters from maybe in a couple hours. I'm assuming I'm assuming the headquarters are probably somewhat centrally located, right? So that's why. But point being is like,
well, in places that have them.
Yeah, but some people did get through on the phones, and even if they have to verify it, I don't believe they're giving us all the numbers they have. They're giving us the numbers they want us to see, which are these, and it drives me crazy. And it doesn't make any sense that. It doesn't make any sense that this is going to be... Here's the thing, man. The primary season is the Democrat Party's first pitch to voters because you have to get people who are not just, I register Democrat, vote Democrat, I register Republican, vote Republican. Those are going to vote for you. You don't have to worry too much. You want them to come. But the people you have to court over, you have to make the pitch across the country. This was the Democrat Party's first pitch to voters who weren't Democrats in 2016. Come out into our primaries. They're absolute clown shows, and we're probably going to lie to you. Hey, well, one more thing. I want to see. Do I have this pulled up? Oh, please don't tell me I closed this. I I wanted to show the coin toss. And, like I was saying before, I admit it's kind of hypocritical. I was saying I don't care about one individual counties, one individual impropriety, because it's just going to happen always. You can't stop people from being liars, cheaters, and trying to steal. But some of the stuff we saw, I mean, Pete Buttigieg, here we go. Pete Buttigieg won multiple coin tosses. By the way, that'll be a good one. When all the data comes out, I want to see how many state delegates were awarded to Pete Buttigieg on coin toss or county delegates. But check this out. This video, I think, is so telling of this coin toss. By the way, anyone ever seen a human being toss a coin like that before? This is what people think of these elections. They're just a joke, man. It's a fraud. We're going to flip a coin. Yeah, no, we're not. It's heads. Get out of here. We're going to release the results. No, we're not. Buttigieg won. Leave. We don't care. Who cares against the delegates? And that is what I think about this stuff. It's performative at a certain point, and it's really starting to frustrate people. And like someone like me who's not just like going to just show up and vote for any party for any particular reason, I pay attention to things like this. And I say, it's like when you walk into someone's house, you don't like maybe start openly saying things, but you say, man, you live like this? Like, that's what I look like. I'm looking at Democrats like the DNC. I'm like, man, you guys run elections like this? Like, this is what you're offering? And I don't know, man. This is the kind of stuff.
And we're supposed to trust you with our health care.
With anything.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trust anything with my dog for the afternoon. Are you kidding me? Like, this is the kind of stuff where it's frustrating to me just from like, wow, I thought people were supposed to have this handled. I thought serious people who weren't morons were doing their job. But hey, joke's on me. That's not what's happening over there. And I don't know. It's just, it's gotten more and more and more frustrating. But the good news is, guess what? We all get to go back to ignoring Iowa in a few days because I'm so done with that party's politics. Like, I mean, that state's
we can focus on our election fraud?
Not even election fraud. Just, hey, Iowa got their time in the sun. No offense, people who live in Iowa, but the Iowa Democrats, the IDP, I believe, Iowa Democratic Party, guess what? You got your news cycle. Hope you're happy, right?
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed probably the first time people vote in that state in a primary, and for probably a while, because I can't imagine why anybody, the Democratic Party, the DNC can't afford to have this happen again. So guess what? They're probably losing this honor, so to speak. Good riddance.
You think they will, though? I don't think so.
I will campaign for it. I'll campaign on behalf. I'll fly to Illinois. And give speeches about why Illinois should be voting first in this state.
Then who do the anti-Republicans vote for and focus on? We live in an era of negative partisanship.
No, you live in an era of negative partisanship.
No,
you live in a world of negative partisanship.
This is scientifically verifiable data. If you study the electorate, we live in the era of negative partisanship. Okay, and yeah, we can just focus on our own here because it's not just what Jank noticed with the more versus the next button. They actually, quote, accidentally made it so when you file for your real ID, you know how in California we're 8 years behind the rest of the country and we always got the vouchers where we didn't have to have the FAA approved real ID? Well, they finally required by October of 2020 that we have the real ID. Yeah, well, when you register for the real ID, do you know who you automatically get registered as? A Democrat. Not as an independent, not as accidentally as a Green Party or a Libertarian person. They found that they were accidentally registering everybody that re-registered for a real ID over their old ID because we have a motor voter state, which means you're automatically registered to vote once you go get your driver's license. You just got automatically re-registered as Democrat. No fraud here, dog. Yeah, you could tell me a Republican state that's happened in. Yeah, it's also the same state that had ballot harvesting, AB 1921. So on and so forth.
People say that I'm too naive. To me, criminal stupidity should be prosecuted. I don't think I'm naive in this. These people shouldn't be. I think some of these people shouldn't have driver's licenses, man. It scares me they're on the roads and how incompetent these people are.
Well, see, it's
like I said, dude. I don't think these people are. I don't believe in the great Satan. I believe in the great moron. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're seeing all across these elections right now.
I don't believe in the great Satan. I believe in the great moron. That's funny. The only thing I'll say before we end here is I actually feel kind of sorry for this kid. With his coin toss, he's getting lambasted all over the internet. But who knows? Maybe he's just like the first timer. I mean, who knows? The kid could be in junior high. And maybe he's never done a coin toss and he really doesn't know how it goes. He's surrounded by a bunch of old party people that are trying to include him.
If this wasn't a joke and this wasn't a show, then he wouldn't be doing it because adults would be taking it seriously. Clearly, yes, no one takes this seriously. Some kid who, by the way, I believe the story is he came with his father. I think he is in like high school or middle school and he's interested in politics and I think he's like a pizza porter. But guess what? If we took this serious, he wouldn't be doing this, okay?
Yes, an adult should have stepped in. Like that girl in the blazer with the green shirt should have said, oh, hold on a second, honey. That wasn't valid. Here, we're going to show you how to do this. Cut. Take two. You know what I'm saying? Somebody should have said, take two. All right. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. If there's any additional information, please make sure that you tag us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1. If you want to contribute to the channel, please consider joining. You get all kinds of cool member benefits, including behind-the-scenes content. We just released a behind-the-scenes video, a studio tour yesterday for all members. So check that out if you guys are interested. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.